Hey y'all, I'm at the Texas Canyon Rest Area in Arizona, and there's an interesting story behind that if you want to look it up. Everybody loves these rocks. They are pretty amazing. So I've got another interview for you with a very interesting nomad, good friend of mine, Adriana from Many Roads, No Rules. I will tell you up front that the filming unfortunately was done in the sun, and the quality of the contrast and the hues and the, what's the other one? Saturation pretty much suck. So I did what I could within my app for editing. I like to embrace when things like that happen. And it reminds me of a TED Talk by an artist who slowly over time became unable to do his art anymore because of a tremor. And somebody, maybe a therapist, advised him at one point, why don't you embrace the tremor? And that's what he did. So he continues to be an artist now. So I'm embracing that glitch, and it's still great content. So this is part one. Hope you enjoy. So thank you, Adriana, for agreeing to this interview. We've done a few videos on your channel.
We have had a couple of conversations before.
Yeah, just a few. So let's learn about this nomad, shall we?
Oh, nomad. That's
Yes.
an interesting
We
concept.
have questions about being a nomad.
Oh,
So I have a very specific memory of when I crossed the line in my head when I knew I was going to become a nomad. I didn't know when, didn't know how, but that's my first question. Do you remember when you said, yes, I'm going to do this someday?
excellent question. Everything in my life, all my decisions are like elastic. They take time. I never wake up and say, today I'm going to have ice cream. I never do that.
Okay.
So everything is the result of a lot of detailed planning and thinking and overthinking and thinking some more. So I knew I was attracted to the idea of living in a house on wheels. And so I started researching what type of house I would like to have. A Class A. So I have, because you try to replicate what you have in your house. I need a living room and a bathroom and a dining.
Yeah.
So Class A, but no, that's too big. And then Class C and fifth wheel and this and that and trailers. I don't want to get out of a trailer to go to my van to start driving because the bear is going to eat me. So it was a long process of dreaming of the vehicle first. And then I realized I was going to be doing that. So it was a long process, but yes, of course, as everybody else, I watched like 500 different videos of people doing these kind of things. And I started again, another process, thinking, okay, how much do I pay for rent? How much for utilities? How much this and that to just be locked in between four walls. Wow, my life is boring. So now I can go there. I didn't know what I was going to be able to do, but I will be there parked in front of a lake.
In something.
And in something, and not paying rent or a mortgage or whatever. Ooh, that sounds good. So it was a process. It took a long time, probably 5 years.
So can you think of maybe one or two or three things that happened that confirmed for you that this lifestyle was going to indeed be a good match for you?
Well, that's a good way of looking at things. I know somehow I started with a minivan, a Dodge Grand Caravan, because somewhere in the whole process of going from a Class A to a minivan, it's quite a reduction in size
Yes, indeed.
of a vehicle. I decided, okay, I can afford buying a minivan today and test if I like the lifestyle. I want to go out there and see if I can actually live 15 days in BLM and be happy by doing that. I had no idea what I was going to encounter. Of course, I mean, it's the reality is always bigger. But I thought, okay, I'm going to have a minivan, so if I don't like the lifestyle, I can either use it to go to work every day or sell it easily, which is going to be easier, of course, than selling a fifth wheel. And I can go back to living in between four walls again. So yeah, to your question, it was testing the water all the time. I didn't jump in the swimming pool right away.
Excellent. So did you go out for weekends, that kind of thing?
No. I did actually start, my first stage was going to go from Minneapolis, where we both met, all the way to the Badlands in South Dakota.
Oh man, I didn't know you went that far.
That was my project. And I did name that first stage of my trip, I named it a cap in the Badlands. No, in drag wall. Because I thought, okay, I knew of the existence of drag wall.
Oh, the wall drug?
Wall drag, thank you.
That huge thing with the coins. And,
that amazing place. I wanted to see the place.
Yeah.
And I decided, if I am going to be a nomad, I have to have a cap. So many things change, in the process. So I did that. I went all the way to the Badlands.
Wow.
I did overnight halfway.
Okay.
It was my first overnight.
Yeah.
And it was so scary.
I know the first night always is.
I know. And I was surrounded by people fishing on a lake and whatever. It was picturesque.
Yeah.
But the following day, I tried like 100 caps, and I didn't like any. So I got a cowboy hat that I still have
is that the one
on my dash. It was black originally. Now it's all faded, brownish, weird.
It's beautiful
because it is always in the sun there on the dashboard. But that was the symbol of my first stage. I needed a hat. Never use it, but it's okay. That was my goal.
Yeah, but from that trip, you realized, I can do this.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
I was trying the lifestyle. So then came learning, I don't have enough water to drink, or I ran out of food, or there's so many variables, and when you're in a minivan, when I first started, I didn't fit in the minivan because I put so many things in there.
Too much stuff.
I had to move things around in order to get to the bed, and the bed was too wide. And so then I went through the third or fourth stage of purging. So it took a long while to feel at home.
Yeah.
Everything was a problem. Everything was like, this is scary.
To figure out where everything goes.
I don't have food. I don't have water. How do I have my jackery to feed my huge fridge when it's such a small jackery? Because in my mind, a jackery 500,
that's going to power the world.
Feeds a whole town. And it didn't feed my fridge. So everything I had in the fridge, I had to eat it because it was a long process until I actually started feeling at home.
Okay.
It took a long while, but I persisted.
What steps did you go through to decide how you were going to, or where you were going to domicile?
Excellent. Yes, that was the easy part. Because again, thank you to all the YouTubers out there, like yourself, spreading all the news about everything that is to be known about this lifestyle. Because you may be a full-time nomad or a weekender, there is always a lot to be learned. And even if you can learn out of experience, whatever you gather from other YouTubers, it helps. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
So I did watch a very old video of Bob Wells talking about why he chose Nevada.
Right.
And I started checking, and comparing South Dakota, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Florida, all the states many nomads choose. I started comparing the advantages and disadvantages
For your particular
for
situation,
my particular
right?
case.
Yep.
And I chose Nevada. So by the time I was completing my journey, my first stages, I went to the Badlands, then I explored the Black Hills, and then I went south from there. And I spent some time in Colorado, and then I went to Nevada when the summer was over, and I became a resident of Nevada in November of 21. Yes, that was the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when I saw you on YouTube and said, "Oh
Yes.
my God, you did it!"
Yes, you're doing it.
You're doing
That was your
it.
comment.
Yeah.
Yes, because it took a while
Yeah.
to get there. It was hot, so I stayed a long time up in the mountains
Right.
in Colorado, which was delightful. And then when the temperatures allowed, I went to Nevada and I did my residency, and I am very happy. The only negatives thing, which is very doable anyway, Nevada, you have to renew your registration every year, once a year. So once a year in November, I have to be in Nevada for that, which is okay. I can work my itineraries around that
Yeah.
and go to Nevada. And this year is going to be doing the registration and voting, because now that I am resident, I get to vote in Nevada.
And how long does your license last before you have to re-up your driver's license? Is it
The
4 years,
driver's
6
is
years, something like
10
that?
years, I think.
Oh man.
But I didn't have to do anything. They accepted, I didn't have to go through a test or anything.
Nice.
They accepted my Minnesota drivers,
Okay.
and that's fine. I think they gave it to me for 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought Washington State was long with 6, but that's great. You don't have to re-up.
I think it was that way.
Very cool.
But don't quote me, because
So, did you know in the beginning what kind of traveler you would be? And
oh,
has
sure.
that changed over time?
Ah, yes. I had in my head a long list of places I really wanted to see. Because everybody, when you ask, what is a great place you would love to see? I would say 80% of people say the Grand Canyon.
Oh, sure.
Because it
Me
is
included.
it is incredible.
Yeah.
But I had a list of places. I wanted to see everything and kind of comb the areas as I would go. So for that, I use mostly Atlas Obscura, which I think it's an amazing tool. So when I am in a town or near a town, I go there and say, what can I see around here? And I always find weird places that I love, or excellent restaurants that I would love to try too. Like the time I found the Creperie in St. George.
I remember that.
And I got those egg benedicts that were the best I have ever tried. But that is what I do. I comb an area. So I was driving a lot. In the first 2 years of my nomadic life, I visited almost everything northwest. And now, because the Southwest is my favorite area to live in. No offense, but the East Coast doesn't attract me. I have asthma, so I don't do well with high temperatures and high humidity.
Exactly.
So it's not in my plans. But now, over the years, I started noticing that I really wanted to have a little bit more space in my rig so I can have a friend sitting there, and if it is cold or rainy or we are in a wind storm and everything is super dusty, we can be inside and have the great evening talking. And so I really wanted to have that, and that is why I changed my rig.
No, it's this one.
This old little junky thing, which is amazing. But yes, since this one is not as efficient in gas consumption as the minivan was, which was awesome, now I am ready for the next stage, which is staying longer in one place and doing it. I mean, traveling is slower and with more purpose. So I can go to a place and see a new thing and take those trails and walk and everything, but I will stay at least 2 or 3 weeks in that place. That way, if I don't move that much, I compensate for the gas.
Yeah.
So I stay longer because I do impose a budget, a daily budget on myself.
She's got a video on that.
Yes. But I can tell you my secret. I don't allow myself to spend more than $20 a day. And of course, sometimes you have to stretch it. But if I go for $20 a day, when I go to the supermarket and I buy $80 in whatever, then I know I have to stay put for at least 4 days because I already spent 4 days worth of money. So I stay, and it helps a lot because I am enjoying just doing nothing, vegetating there. So yes, my lifestyle has changed in that sense. I was traveling. I had to see this and the other thing, and now it's like, okay, I can stay here and plan for the next one. I will have to drive so many hours. I will get to this point. I will enjoy this, and I will stay.
What part of vehicle living was the easiest to sort out, and what has been the most challenging?
Oh, so the easiest. The easiest was once I was done purging, because purging was very difficult. Getting rid of all the things you really don't need, that was difficult. I don't need this, I don't need that, and you donate and you donate and you donate some more. And once you achieve the good balance of, because how many t-shirts can you wear in one day as a nomad?
Or a week.
Right, but you don't wear them all at the same time. So if you have 10 t-shirts, that takes you through the month.
Oh yeah.
And the only thing you really need to have a lot of is panties.
Yes.
Because you put them in your laundry bag, and you don't need to go do laundry until you run out of panties, which means about a month, once a month.
30 of them.
Yes, exactly. Get a lot of them. When I find one that is very comfortable and nice, I go back and I buy 5 or 6 of the same one.
Totally.
So you may see me with the same color and same,
Let's check.
but it's a new one every day, I promise.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, now we can breathe. So, but the most difficult part of living in a vehicle was when I had the minivan. It was the stop being self-conscious about living in a minivan, because somehow people think, okay, if you live in your van, you're homeless.
Your value as a human is somehow affected by that.
And they actually do that face, you know. And I have had that face even from nomads.
Yes, there's a status system in the nomad community
you
too.
live in a minivan. And that is, of course, you know it very well. It is part of how you were brought up when you were a kid, judged by others and all those things. You try to save face.
Yeah.
I live in a minivan, but it's so good with gas. And you don't need to justify that.
No.
So it took me a long while to accept that I had chosen that minivan because I did have a good plan for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, I live in a minivan, so what?
Deal with it.
Exactly. Getting to that point was so difficult.
Interesting.
When-
How long do you think that was?
Oof, 2.5 years
Yeah.
until I got rid of the
Okay.
minivan, and it's still there. I remember going into supermarkets to buy things, and in the middle of summer, and bringing everything quickly to the fridge. So I had to open the side door, get in
Right.
with the things, and quickly get in and close the door so nobody saw my bed there in the middle of the supermarket. Who cares? That is the ghost of
Yeah.
years past,
Yeah, yeah.
and the shame and all those things. And then you learn there is no shame on being happy, on living a good life. I think part of that is what still prevents me from liking being stealth.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe
makes sense.
part of that. I still don't like being stealth because of the safety, because of so many reasons.
Yeah.
But yes, it was very difficult to stop being self-conscious.
And the society puts that on us too. In
Right.
addition to what you bring from your own past.
And the ridiculous thing is, I was super happy with my life.
right?
So why would I be self-conscious? Whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember one thing that was the best of all. I have never, ever in my whole life slept better than in my minivan. Wherever we park at hospital parking lots, at truck stops, and those truck stops, they are so noisy because trucks are running all night long.
Yeah.
They run their engines all night through. And to me, that is like sleeping with a kitty that purrs all night.
It's white noise for you.
Oh,
yeah.
it's fantastic.
Lulls you to sleep.
But I have never slept better than in my rig. Never ever in my life. I love it. Every night is like a prize. Yay!